Hey kids, it's Jurassic James, and on this Jurassic Explains, we're looking at Corythosaurus. Now, same rules apply. We have the older models here, newer model here. If you don't know, the month of July is International Jurassic James month. My birthday is within this month, and my wife surprised me with lots of PNSO figures, so you're going to see some of those on and off over the next month or so. So first and foremost, I'm going to point out Corythosaurus. The name means helmet lizard due to the way their skull is shaped. It's this little dome right there almost. I wouldn't say dome, it's not round, it's more flat, it's a crest. And the idea with Cryptosaurus is that when they were first discovered in 1911 by Barnum Brown, the holotype was discovered then. It was named and described by Barnum Brown in 1914. Who's Barnum Brown? If you don't remember, he's the same guy who found the first remains of T-Rex. So as far as where it fits in, this is a duck-billed dinosaur or hadrosaur found in Alberta, Canada, in Dinosaur Formation. So here's my first model of Cryptosaurus. I got it in the 90s. It is a safari figure. And the idea is that it has just the basic hadrosaur look. It's on all four, which I love that because many duckbills at the time were always on two legs. But also it shows you like the tail. You know, it is kind of a thicker animal. But within this family of hadrosaurs, its closest relatives, we believe, are an animal called Hypacrosaurus, which you're seeing here. And they're very similar in appearance, but do know Hypacrosaurus is found in a higher level, meaning that there is the rock layer that it's found in, and then these are here. So it's been theorized by some paleontologists that these guys evolved into them, or at least a branch of them did. Another relative of theirs, and they're found in America, but when found in Asia, is Orlandosaurus, which is like reaching swan lizard, which I'll have a video on that coming up pretty soon. So these guys are the same kind of grouping. As a collective, they're all known to be in the Lambiosauran group. So Lambiosaurs, which I have one right here, these guys are the duckbills, essentially with the hollow crest. So the most famous member of that group, I think, frankly, is Parasaurolophus. The other branch of hadrosaurs are the the crestless ones, basically, like Cryptosaurus here. So they have no crests on their head, behind their eyes, right, or over there. So here's the big thing. Again, the animal's been known since 1914. Because it's known for so long, there's a longer history there, right? So initially, officially, we have only two species today. But at some point, there were 7 species because they kept finding more and more of them. But in the 1970s, Peter Dodson, paleontologist, comes along and goes, well, actually, what you're looking at are not different species, but they're in fact probably different genders and different ages. So it's kind of hinting at what Jack Horner will come up with later on, the idea of we're seeing the development of these animals over time. And we believe that just like Hypacrosaurus, which actually has way more individuals, different stages, this is a baby Hypacrosaurus. If you want a video about this species, let me know in the description, in the comments. But we can see the babies have no crest whatsoever, and it's believed that they found young Corythosaurus initially, they thought they were different species, and they gave them a different group name and all that. But it turns out they're actually probably juvenile Corythosauruses, so that kind of rearrange everything. So from 7 to only 2 species left. Now the oldest model I have of Cryptosaurus is this little guy here, and this is how most people will interact with this animal. They're going to see a bipedal or tripod, standing on a tail, like this. The idea is that this is, and what makes it so unique is that it has that crest. Now we do have, I think, 4 or 5 dinosaurs, hadrosaurs, with crests like this are in their family. But the idea is that Cryptosaurus is the oldest, most well-known one, so they're probably all Cryptosaurus, right? I will say again that you can get a lot of those pack of 10, pack of 20 dinosaur toys, get them on Amazon or whatever, and they're in there because it's a distinctive look. I will point out that usually their mouths do not look like hadrosaur duckbill mouths, but they're, it's on 2 legs, so flat crest is Cryptosaurus, right? My next model of this animal, and again, until this guy, this is still my favorite out of all these years. Just a high point to point out here, it has the 3 toes that hadrosaurs all have. The hands have 4 digits. The difference between our new understanding is when they first found hadrosaurs, they assumed that they were water-based, basically, because I think Hadrosaurus itself, the first duck-billed dinosaur found here in North America particularly, was found like on a Washington beach or something. So they were shelled and waterware, so it was something, they were water animals. Their hands, if you see many older depictions, have like webbed toes. It turns out they didn't have a forefinger or thumb. So duckbills had the 3 they walked on and a pinky on the side. There's all this fleshy pad. So think about elephant foot, how elephants walk on their toes. There's a pad there, and so the toes sat on top of that. And the little pinky there is for helping grab leaves or more, dexterity. But the idea is that when they found that fleshy pad, fossilized, the assumption was it was extra skin, therefore it was webbing. So that was a misinterpretation, which led to people saying these duck-billed dinosaurs being only in swamps. But the truth is they were actually like terrestrial. I mean, some did live near swamps and water areas, wetlands, but overall they were land animals. They were terrestrial. So fast forward, and ironically fast forward, in 2009 we have Collect A, Cryptosaurus, and like I said, it shows you that nice crest here. The mouth of Cryptosaurus is very narrow, so when looking at other duck-billed dinosaurs in the same environment, other same conditions, they have different shaped crests, so they're eating different foods. My analogy of this is imagine the African savanna. You have the wildebeest have the big flat wide mouths, the buffalo have the big flat wide mouths, zebras have more narrow, the gazelles have even more narrow for browsing, right? So all the herbivores are living together, but their mouth design has them eating slightly different foods. That's why we have lions and leopards and cheetahs and hyenas are all fighting each other because they all eat meat. Sure, there's a little differentiation of the size of prey, but they eat the same food. Where the duckbills, we think were like the African ungulates, the hoof animals. They're all eating slightly different things that can coexist, right? That being said, we have this one here. Now, I couldn't find a name on this one, but if you go to like many malls, which malls still exist, at least here in the South, and the idea is that you have like a toy store and they'll have these like simple models of these dinosaurs. You buy a 4-pack, whatever. So I actually bought a pack of dinosaurs, which I didn't want, just for this one model. Again, it was science-wise, it's not the best model, but overall, it's just, to me, it's really beautiful. The way the crest looks, the way the paint color goes. We have no idea the color of the Hadrosaurus. We do have a lot of Hadrosaurus skin impressions, more than most dinosaurs. So that kind of stands out. But overall, we have no way of telling color right now. But the idea is that the tail obviously is too small. It's kind of, like wimpy. There are 3 claw toes, that's good. The hand, the forelimb has 4 fingers, but again, the first 3, the second, third, and fourth are on the ground. The piece here, they have more like just all 4 with no thumb, which is still correct, because some have 5 actually. I've seen that before. Hadrosaurs don't have 5 fingers, they only have 4, but I've seen toys with 5 fingers. And again, the body is shaped really tube and thin. And if you look at the way the skeleton, like there should be more of the neural spines. If you feel the bumps in your back, though, those things that stand up, they are longer in Hadrosaurus. You would see more of it like that here. But overall, I still thought it was a really beautiful figure. So again, this is kind of the nature of the show, is that yes, you want to strive for scientific accuracy, but if the toy just looks cool, go and get it, right? Now, before I get to my PNSO one, I want to point out one thing about the ecology of the animal, because Corythosaurus was found in the Dinosaur Park Formation, which means as far as toys representatives, it was living with Dinosaurus, its main predator, a Tyrannosaur cousin, which I did a video on before. It lived with its famously known Parasaurolophus, Cryptosaurus, Chasmosaurus, Citrosaurus too. Now, I believe there's a Citrosaurus toy in PNSO now, but overall they don't make a lot of them, basically. Euoplocephalus, which is a precursor to Ankylosaurus, that we all know. Euoplocephalus meaning well-armored head, having bony plates in his eyelids, kind of a cool dinosaur there. And Edmontonia here. So this is essentially, as far as the more common toys, this is the ecology that Cryptosaurs live with, right? So if you're playing that by time period and location, know this. That being said, we're going to move on to the PNSO figure and see it in all of its glory. Let's see. Get these guys over here. Now, with PNSO, I always point out that the box is like always amazing. Very few of my toys come in boxes anyway, but I do save them with these guys. I don't know why. I think they're just so beautiful, and I put them in storage somewhere. But anyway, so you're seeing the animal here. I do find it weird or interesting, I guess, that they name, like, Carolina Cryptosaurus, it's named. I don't personally need that, but I'm not sure if that's just to make it more appealing to people to buy, because I figured the audience probably is people like me, it's probably just general public. But I don't know if they're going to planning on making in the future, a new Cryptosaurus figure and give it a different name. That way it's like Cory the Cryptosaurus, kind of thing. I don't know. But anyway, that being said, I'm going to now take the official scissors of Jurassic James, unseat them, and begin the opening process. I must say that my favorite dinosaur group are sauropods, long necks. They just, something about them just really overwhelms me. But my second favorite group I think are Hadrosaurs, because they're just neat. The irony, of course, my wife bought several Hadrosaur PNSO figures for me, and she was saying that when I kind of showed her, like, oh, I think these are kind of cool, And she was like, when I was looking at them online, they all have the same body. This just their crests are different. And actually, that's the point. Is that Hadrosaurus, they share a common ancestor, and if you're looking to identify your own species, that crest is how you do it, basically, right? To you and I, they look very similar. But imagine, like, to them, a human, a chimp, and a gorilla look very similar. So, like, different perspective there. But let's go ahead and open this box. Let's see. I don't want to damage the box much. So PNSO always has like cards that come with them in different languages because they're international. I think they're made in China, actually. Let's see. So, and there is a card in all of its glory, and there's the back of the card. And as far as, let's see, find the English. Yeah, so it tells you information on it, basically. But I'll just give you a general overview. Let's see. I like how it just kind of like falls out. Put that in there for liter storage. Which will actually, I keep the boxes well. If I need to move them, it'd be nice to put them in a nice box. I won't get them painted up, be scratched up. These are very nice models. So let's rise it up. Now, the first thing that sticks out to me at this figure, which I actually like a lot, are how thin the legs and feet are. And when people often draw, people who aren't professional paleontologists often draw dinosaurs, particularly hadrosaurs, they draw them with like thicker legs. And it's not the same thing, but think about how a horse or a cow are these big animals. They have these really thin, spindly legs, right? It's kind of like that too for these guys. What makes it weird if you get in profile or look at not profile, head on, is that it feels like it's going to fall, tip over. Like the tail's going this way, head's going that way, but the body's doing this. What's neat is that there's one solid foot on the ground, the other one's mid-stride. The hand or the forelimbs, I like the fact that you have the three toes and it's very, very thin, like a forelimb, like a hand. Skin texture. Again, we do find Corythosaurus skin impressions. The holotype had that actually, but the idea here is that we don't know. I'm not sure if this matches the texture that they've seen there. I've often seen like small scales. Do know in general dinosaur scales are not like snake scales, in that where snake scales, many reptiles today, they overlap like roof tile. There's like a scale here, there's one there, there's one there. Dinosaur scales like floor tile, they're usually side by side, right? I open up the crest here, which is what's known for, in that when they first discovered it, the first assumption, well, one of the early assumptions was this hollow tubing, there's like a trombone. So the idea was they thought that, well, they're water animals, they have these tubing in their skull, because it's their nasal passages. Maybe they're diving down and holding water, air there to help them get to a lower level. But I think Dr. Bacher said it basically, well, it looks like a trombone is probably a trombone. So the idea is that different crests of hadrosaurs make different noises. And we know from many animal species that are social that they communicate through noises. Now, the only dinosaurs we can actually theorize how they sound are these guys, the hadrosaurs, because we have these hollow bony crests that can blow air to them. Now, the difference, of course, is there are likely soft tissue in there that affected it differently, because most animals use some kind of a throat soft tissue. We have this hollow crest based on, so all I'm saying is that if you hear someone say, oh, we know how it sounds, you play this thing. Well, that's how it sounds just with the bare bones, literally. The soft tissue may have affected it, it sounds way differently, right? But we do think hadrosaurs would be communicating with each other in their herd, because they live in pretty decent sized herds. What I like about this one too is where the skin, it's moving, so the skin is like bunching up, and like here it's more stretched out, here it's more bunched up, so it's like moving around. You can actually see where the neural spines are sticking up, these little bumps here, kind of the end of that, and it kind of comes to here. Like I said, 3 toes in a hand, 4 limbs are perfect. The skull, again, you're seeing this very narrow snout, and that's one thing to point out is Dr. Bacher, he doesn't like the term duckbill per se, because that only really applies to Edmontosaurus. And for the most part, these guys don't have duck-like bills, but they do have these keratin-covered beaks for feeding. And with the very narrowness of Corythosaurus' skull, that tells you it has a very specific browsing diet. It's eating certain things. It's not just like a buffalo just biting all the grass. It's picking at its food, eating certain plants, right? So that's something kind of worth pointing out here too. I must say with absolute sincerity that I love this figure. It's absolutely gorgeous. This will now be my I'm sorry to you, my friend. This is still more durable for teaching kids, but this is now my official representative of Cryptosaurus in my collection now. When I do stuff from now on for adults, I'll bring this figure because it just looks so amazing at every level, right? Is it perfect? Nothing's perfect, but again, given our current science, it has everything that lines up to it for myself. So if you are looking for something to play with, I would still suggest this Cryptosaurus from Carnegie, or sorry, Safari. If you're looking for a model to put on the shelf or to appreciate or to teach with, I would suggest the PNSO model here. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Good, bad, whatever. Like, subscribe, all the things that YouTube tells me I should tell you to do. Please do those things. And with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you later.